Hey, by the way, tonight's game, New York wins that outright.
You know he's on top. Million subs, he never gonna flop. Out of Chicago, where the streets don't sleep. Betting on games, making cash real deep. Crystal ball for sports, he knows the lines. He's a sports aficionado, the money he finds. From football to basketball, he's always on point. Predicting winners never disappoints. He's got that hustle, that Chicago vibe. Making moves on the streets, cash on the side. With E, you know it's always a bet. He's the king of the game, never forget.
Who toil on the battlefields of the NFL every Sunday. The dream is to someday make the walk down the runway to football's ultimate field of dreams.
We have made it. We are here, Super Bowl edition of the Etoft21Sports Show. And who better to come on than the man, the myth, the legend from sunny California when I'm out here in the Chi, freezing my ass off, Gino from drf.com. Him and I are going to share some bets for Super Bowl 60. But before you get into all that, I'd like to say thank you to the sponsor of the show, PropX. Guys, if you're not using PropX, go to the App Store, download the app, use promo code ETOFT21. That way they know old Uncle Rico sent you. Really feel that this peer-to-peer stuff, this is going to be the future of sports betting. FanDuel, DraftKings, those shops are starting to charge a tax here in Illinois and probably soon in some other states to place bets peer-to-peer. Don't have to worry about that. Go to the App Store, download the app. That way they know old Uncle Rico sent you. Let's go ahead and let's bring on the man, the myth, the legend. Just getting over a cold, coming off the 15-day DL. Gino, how you doing today, my man?
Doing well. It's a fun time. Got some Super Bowl bets, NBA trade deadline going on. So a very fun, busy time in the world of sports.
You mentioned the trades. That's, obviously I was really hoping that JJ would, Jaren Jackson, for those listening or watching, would go to my Pistons. I really think getting him and Cade, Jesus Christ, with everything going on in the East, they would be in a good position. Turned out he went to the Jazz. Jazz are trying to build something with him and market. What are your thoughts on that trade real quick before I get into all that?
And that's weird too, because they have Walker Kessler, who a lot of people haven't thought about because he's been out most of this year because being hurt. So they said that this means they want to try to build a big lineup where they have Kessler, JJJ, and Markkanen. Now, I can kind of get that because JJJ is a good defender, but he's someone who I think offensively doesn't really go and battle down low quite as much as you'd like. Like he'll be out on the perimeter. Markkanen is very good offensively. I think they could fit like defensively, but if you had a smaller team, it may be kind of strange to match up with them. It was just something interesting because if you're Utah, you kind of figured they want to be bad the rest of the year, try to get as good of a pick as possible. But if you have JJJ and Markkanen on the team, they're going to win some games just because of the talent of those guys.
Could we see a tanking situation? You know what I mean? Where they kind of use this year as a wash?
Absolutely. I would.
Draft class is just absurd so far. Like watching the people in college, Peterson, the kid from BYU, kid from Indiana. This is a loaded draft class.
That's why I'd imagine they want to be towards the top. I agree with you. So I wouldn't be shocked if you just don't see a whole lot of JJJ the rest of this year. Like if he's not playing a whole heck of a lot, because that would be in their best interest. Then next year you can start over where you've got a couple of guys that you want to build around and you get that top pick. You just want to make sure your asset is the best as possible because you're not going anywhere this year.
And then obviously for Memphis, it means more than likely they're going to be trading John Morant. Obviously Morant's dead center and going to Miami. Miami's making a heavy push for Giannis. Giannis, obviously, from what I heard, it's down in Minnesota or Miami. Bucks are going to honor where he wants to go. I don't even know what the hell is going to happen there. Don't even get me started on that absolute train wreck. But
so I think also that means like if you see Memphis, if you're thinking even on a smaller level too, like I'm thinking I'd love for the Lakers to go out and try to get like KCP for cheap.
Oh yeah.
Guys from Memphis now that you don't think Memphis really needs in a situation where they're trying to win now. Like go see if you can pick some of their role players off and get them for a little bit cheap, offer them an asset, a young guy and a pick, and then see if you can, because I'm thinking about that just like you are. You're thinking about the Pistons. I'm thinking, okay, how can the Lakers upgrade? Can they go find a guy on one of these teams that can be, like a fit starter for them or a really nice bench role guy? They need a little bit more shooting. They could add a perimeter defender. That'd be great. Another big body. Wouldn't mind that. So yeah, I think you can kind of see which of these teams might be willing to maybe, risk some of their, willing to give up some of their talented guys this year for the future. Like, what about the Clippers is probably going to get to that next one too, right? What does this signal? You think they not care as much about this year and this is a move for the future for them?
I hate the Lakers. My boys got a new point guard. We'll get into that shortly. Oh yeah, let's get into it now. Yeah, I mean, I've always been a Garland guy.
Yeah, me too.
There has really stunted his growth. We don't know what's going on. Mitchell has always been tied to the Heat. And that's the thing that makes this thing so intriguing. If the Heat do trade for Giannis, basically everyone's going to be off their book for next year. Donovan's going to be a free agent. Then they could have the big three of Bam, Donovan, and Giannis. Is that your big three? Or since no one wants to trade for Ja, if they do make the move for Giannis, do they then get Ja for pennies on the dollar? Because Memphis is going to build around the rookie Colin Coward and Zach Edey. Jesus Christ, I can't believe they're fucking building around Zach Edey, but that's a different story.
Yeah.
Do you get them for pennies on the dollar? Because all their assets are going to be going up to Milwaukee. And if Jaren Jackson goes for 3 first-round picks, that's just going to make the Bucks just kind of be like, whoa, we want some more stuff. Now, obviously, for me, like I grew up a Pistons fan, moved out here, like the Bucks too. If I'm the Bucks, I wanted San Antonio and I wanted them to throw Harper. Obviously, that's not going to happen. I really need to see what Minnesota's package would be. But my thing, just don't trade him for fucking Draymond Green. That's all I ask.
You got to get at least a young piece back. That's something somewhat young. Because the nice thing for Minnesota, right? You could like McDaniels, right? Something like that. Like at least you're getting something back like that. You feel like, okay, this guy could be a big part of our team and our franchise moving forward. You don't want a guy like that's an aging veteran that just is someone that's like a money matcher. Cause then there's nothing to really get excited a whole lot about. I mean, so are you assuming that he's going to be gone before the deadline?
I think he's out. I mean, like, Jesus, I just want it to end. I mean,
it's not good for anybody the longer it goes on.
Yeah. And he's been a total bitch. Like, I'll say it. I mean, he's been a total bitch with how everything is effing unfolded and everything. And then love the move for Garland. Absolutely love it. He's going to get a chance to kind of be, have the ball in his hands. Obviously, we don't know what's going to go on with Leonard. How much is he going to be there? It's a fresh start for Garland. It's something absolutely that he needed.
Because they would have been in a tough spot when in another year because they're playing well right now, but they're older, right? Yeah. So, like, what are you selling your fan base on? What are you building around? You're not going to really build around Harden and Kawhi anymore. Now you got a guy, Garland, who for a few years now he's got every opportunity. I do wonder if the Clippers, I'm not saying they're trying to lose anymore, but I do wonder if they looked around and said, you know what, this is a good move for us. It's much better for our franchise. And maybe they're also a team that would be looking to get rid of maybe a veteran or two for another young move or for more pieces, right? Do we see them willing to like trade a guy like Zubac? Remember, Zubac and Harden had this really great chemistry together. So maybe do they think, if we can get rid of the big man, get some picks, get like a team could really use Zubac, who was very good last year, wasn't quite as good to start this year. He was hurt. I'm just curious and wondering now what kind of headspace they're in. I prefer the move for the Clippers. It's a better long-term move for them.
It's a better move. I mean,
for Cleveland, like I just keep thinking like Mitchell and Harden next to each other. That's going to be weird. Like defensively,
it's just
right.
It's going to be utterly awesome. And I think they've come to the realization that Mitchell is gone. And, they have Harden for a couple more years. They can get Harden with Mobley. So I kind of think that's kind of where Cleveland is a Band-Aid for the inevitable Mitchell moving. And then one more trade. Two more trades. Big V from the Bulls traded out to the Celtics. Great move for the Celtics. Celtics got a big that they desperately needed to go with everything they had. Love that move for the Celtics. If Tatum comes back, they could be a sneaky team.
It gives them a little versatility too, because they can play like they've been playing, where they don't really have the big man that's like a central part of the offense. Now they have a big man they can throw the ball into and get a bucket or two. We heard Tatum was going to come back, then we heard not, but everything that we've seen, he looks good. He looks ahead of schedule. So yeah, I mean, you wonder, I think he wants to, obviously. I think some of the people are telling him, who knows, but they're in a nice spot because they basically gave away a bench piece for
he was really good in Portland, young guy. He can definitely get 20 off. Great coming here to Chicago. Chicago has always been in that, and I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry.
No.
Always been in that like 8 to 10 range.
They're in the same range.
Definitely for them, getting Simon, and then they traded Kevin Hartler and got Jaden Ivey. And Ivey with Cade, just kind of like what the Cavs are going to have with Mitchell and
it's a great comparison.
And Harden, just shitty defense. They just can really only have one of those guys on, and with Cade playing the level that he's playing, morphing into a top 10 player in the association, I mean, you had to do it. The one thing about the Bulls have a million effing guards now. A million.
Right? That are like similar players. Like hey, Lakers, we'll take Desumu from you. Absolutely. Yeah. Toss him over our way. He'll be the fastest, most athletic guy in our team. We could use a quick guard like that. Bring him over this way. We'll send you Gabe Vincent. You're welcome.
But we're not here to talk about the NBA. We're here to talk some Super Bowl stuff. Before you and I go into it, last week, Bryce and I shared a couple bets on it. Let's go ahead and let's see what Bryce and I shared. Last week on the show, Bryce gave out Patriots and Seahawks under 45.5. Old Uncle Rico gave out Patriots and Seahawks under 22.5 for the first half. Kenneth Walker over 20.5 receiving yards, and Hunter Henry over 36.5 receiving yards. For the show, we are 67, 56, and 3 in our bets. So, gave out some bets. I'm currently sweating out DePaul plus 10.5. They just hit a 3 to knock it to 10, 66, 55. 16 seconds left. For the love of God, just don't foul. Get the fuck out of Dodge, dude. Fuck out of Dodge, dude. And they fouled. God damn it.
Oh, no.
So anyway, that was fun while it lasted. Let's go ahead. We each have 3 bets. Gino, you are going to be kicking us off. And you know what? I knew there was effing something that I forgot to do, and it was to type in your bets. So why don't you go ahead? You're on Drake May.
Yep.
Over 36.5 rushing yards.
Yeah. Drake May, we heard some of the issues about the shoulder over the last few weeks. Apparently he's doing better now, but I still think that could be a thing. So if maybe he's leaning on the run a little bit more, this defense is going to be all over him. May has gotten sacked 5 times in each of the 3 games so far. I think he's going to run a little bit more. We always see this with the running quarterbacks in these games towards the end of the season where they just end up running a little bit more. So Drake May has hit this number, 36.5 rushing yards, in 3 of his last 4 games. He's had 10 rushing attempts in 3 of the last 6 games. He's just running way more in these meaningful games towards the end of the year. He actually had 450 rushing yards total on the season. Only 3 quarterbacks this year playing against Seattle got to this number, over 36.5 rushing yards. But if you look at the list of quarterbacks they played, they didn't play a ton of mobile quarterbacks. And the ones they did, Jaden Daniels, 51, Kyler Murray, 41, Cam Ward, 37, all went over this number. So I think the script I'm thinking also is that Seattle is going to be up, Patriots having to come from behind late in the game, a few extra runs, trying to pick up first downs. I'm going Drake May over the 36.5 rushing yards.
I like that one a lot. I can definitely see that happening, especially if the Thrill Compton has a little bit of a hard time defending that blind side. I really think there it's going to be a key how well that they're able to defend. My next bet, and dude, I could have sworn I put all this shit in here and I did it not. So my first bet is I'm going Stefon Diggs under 17.5 yards, longest reception. Now, this is my thought process on this bad boy. Diggs has clearly shifted more to the underneath possession role for New England in the playoffs. His average depth of target is just 6 yards. He's averaging over 6.6 yards per catch. He has just 2 catches over 10 yards this postseason, one going for 12, one going for 14. Now, when you layer in the matchup, it gets even more compelling. Seattle has been excellent against wide receivers all season. They've allowed the second fewest receiving yards to the position and the fewest yards per reception at 11. Seattle runs zone about 74% of the time and primarily lean on cover 3. Against cover 3 this season, Diggs has averaged 11.8 yards per catch and has only 8 receptions that have cleared this 17.5 mark. On top of that, Seattle has just allowed a total of 10 receptions over 17.5 yards the entire playoffs, with 8 of them coming from either Puka Nacua or Devontae Adams. And if you dive into it a little bit more, 5 of them are from Puka Nacua. Now, Stefon Diggs is great, but he's nowhere near Puka's level. Add in the Diggs underneath usage, the potential shoulder injury that you touched on for Drake May, that's going to be limiting his down the field aggressiveness. And with how disciplined Seattle has been against wide receivers, this sets up perfectly. I'm taking Stefon Diggs under 17.5 yards as his longest reception, my friend.
Love that one. Love that one. And it'll show when I get to like my other bets too. I was sending you messages like this throughout the year. I've rarely disliked a team as much as I dislike this Patriots team, just as like a gambler and like watching them week in, week out. They had a very favorable schedule. They were the type of team that like things just really bounced their way. They got very lucky all the way. I mean, we see just their 3 games in the playoffs. They caught the Chargers with no offensive line. They caught a Texans team without their 2 best offensive weapons. At one point in the game, they were without Collins, without Schultz, and Marks was out of the game for a while. They literally didn't have any of their offensive weapons, and Stroud was abysmal in that game. I mean, he threw 3 or 4 awful passes that were not even like great plays by the Patriots defense. And then last week, the last game, obviously against Denver, when they played a backup quarterback with Stidham, like a lot of my handicap
in a blizzard,
when all that Peyton needed to do when he had the ball, go up by 10, you're up by 2 scores and the snow's about to go, and then the whole game flips, then you're not in a situation where you're trying to throw the ball with Stidham again later in the game. I think that was one, and I'm almost always a go for it guy. But that's one of the situations where you look at who you're playing, you look at what New England's been doing. So I just think this generally, Eric, it happens where the luck runs out with these types of teams that get a little bit lucky. But the crazy part is they only have 1 game left, right? So they really all right now is like what more. It's not like in the NBA or in baseball, like a lucky team almost never wins ever, because you got to win a series. Like, you're not going to get lucky 4 times beating another team. You have to be good at that point. But we see this in football. You can get the bounces here and there. I mean, I had so many of these fun things, like fewest points scored in the wild card divisional and conference championship games before the Super Bowl. This year, the Patriots, 54. 2000 Ravens had 61, and the 2007 Giants had 68. But those teams were like incredible defensive teams, like all-time defensive teams. Let's get you to my next bet, Eric, and I'll lean on one that I thought was pretty funny. I was looking through DraftKings and FanDuel over the last week and just checking lines on a few different things. And a song that I loved to jam on back in the day was The Return of the Mac.
Oh,
that
yeah.
one, she never turned on me, you lied to me.
Oh, yeah.
So they call this one on DraftKings The Return of the Mac. It's plus 700 if you get Mac Hollins 2+ receptions each half. So if you look at it and you look at Hollins and what he's done recently, his last 8 games he played in the regular season, he hit 4 receptions in 5 of those games. So in 5 of those games, he had at least enough receptions that he would have been eligible. Obviously, they have to be split up in 2, right? Half and half. This game, I think, is actually going to be a situation where they're going to probably have to be throwing a little bit more in the second half. So I do think I could see him getting a few more there. Even last week in that blizzard, Erik, where they were not throwing at all, he had 2 receptions. So like, he's back in the mix. I like him quite a bit. I think he's someone they've looked for all year long. And I think the value is there on this because we just didn't see him for a few weeks before he came back last week. So his recent month, obviously he's been kind of out of sight, out of mind, but now he's back. The return of the Mac. She said she'd never turn on me. Plus 700. Return of the Mac.
It's been forever since I've heard that song.
My buddy Justin, who's a few years older than me, he was from Brooklyn, and man, we love that jam. I sent him a screenshot of that earlier. I was like, I'm going to be jamming to Return of the Mac a little bit later, and I knew he was loving it too. So shout out, Justin.
We do have a question. First Bad Bunny song. I'll be honest, I don't know one of his songs.
I know this is sort of backwards, but I was thinking in some funny way, is Bad Bunny going to throw out like an Ice Ice Baby? You know, he's been very adamant and political and stuff. Is he going to go
Could you imagine
backwards, right? If he was like, that would be so funny in like a backwards way that, man, I was wondering if he's going to do something like that. But I always love the anything song related. But yeah, I generally study up a little bit, a few days, look at some of their sets, some of their concerts, and see. So if you let's make some money. If you have any thoughts on Bad Bunny song and the prices, throw them our way so we can add them into the parlay.
I know none. Like literally, like I'll be honest, I know none. Like I'm gonna have to ask one of the kids that I coach what to do with that. My next bet. Let me get this comment off. My next bet is, oh my God, I'm doing it. AJ Barner over 24.5.
Nice.
Receiving yards. Now, when I bet the Super Bowl, I always try to lay out a script, lay out what I think is going to happen. Now, in my head, this is what I think this is what I think is going to happen. When we look at the splits, when Milton Williams is there, the Patriots have been stout stopping the run. Now, I think New England's going to focus on taking away JSN. And I immediately think people think that means Christian Gonzalez is going to shadow him. What I think Vrabel is going to do is he's going to take a page out of Belichick's book, and he's going to double JSN. So he's going to have a safety in a corner, just shadow him. And then he's going to put Gonzalez on either Shaheed or Kupp. With that attention, someone else is going to have to step up in the passing game. One of the areas where the Patriots have been vulnerable this season, defending the tight ends. They've allowed the 11th most yards per game to the position, 10 yards per reception, a 70% catch rate. This sets up perfectly for AJ Barner. I had Dalton Schultz, his over. He only played 7 minutes in the first quarter and it hit. This has been a very weak spot of the Patriots defense. During the regular season, Barner was third on the Seahawks in routes run, went over this receiving total in 10 games. Now his playoff production has dipped, but his numbers show he's still involved. He leads the tight ends and wide receivers in snaps played, ranks third in routes run, seeing a 47.5% route participation rate. I know Elijah Arroyo is returning from injury, but I don't expect him to cut significantly in Barner's role. He's been out for weeks. Now he's coming into the biggest game of the year. Are you really going to, you know what I mean, drop Barner? For Barner,
you know what I mean? That game against San Francisco, they were up so big. He's not running a bunch of routes at that point either, right? The game's a little bit different when you're up 41-6.
Yeah, and I just don't think they're gonna, you know what I mean, cut into him that much. When you look at the regular season, Barner had over 500 more snaps, 200 more routes ran than Elijah Arroyo. Plus, like I said, I don't think they're gonna feed him to the wolves like that. I think the Patriots are gonna focus on taking away JSN. Seattle's gonna rely on other options, and that's where we're gonna see AJ Barner capitalize. Give me the over 24.5. Now, last bet, my friend.
It's going to all come down to this for me because I was wondering how to play this game. And if this was like a regular season situation, I'd probably be playing the Patriots plus because it's a situation where Seattle's look so dominant. The Patriots have not. I think in the Super Bowl, it's a little bit different. And in this particular game, I really don't think the Patriots have played one team this year like Seattle. I don't think they've played any team that's got this good of a defense with as solid of an offense on the opposite side. When you just look at some of the numbers, right? They scored 1 offensive touchdown against the Chargers, 3 against Houston in a situation they forced 5 turnovers, 1 offensive touchdown against Denver on a 12-yard drive. This defense is as good as any of those. The offense is much better. They have their playmakers. They have JSN. They have a solid running game. Sam Darnold's been playing well. Patriots 10-7 win was the fewest points ever scored in a Pats playoff win. They were 1-12 all time when scoring less than 15 points in a playoff game. How about this one? Most career wins in playoff games where they've scored 16 points or less. Terry Bradshaw, 3 in 19 starts. That's the most ever. He's had 3 victories in the playoffs in 19 starts when his team has scored 16 or less. The next one, Drake May. 2 in 3 starts, 2 wins where his teams have scored 16 or less in 3 starts. After Drake May, the next closest was Nick Foles, twice in 6 starts. Bart Starr, twice in 10 starts. Tom Brady, in 48 starts, he only had 2 wins with 16 or less. It doesn't happen where you're scoring this few points and winning games in the playoffs. Drake May has been sacked 15 times in 3 playoff games, 5 times each game. He has 6 fumbles, 2 interceptions, and 15 sacks. Joe Burrow has the record for 19 sacks through a playoff run, so he is close to setting the record. And if you just talk about like weird luck things, so like Lamar Jackson in 8 playoff games, his defenses have only combined to force 3 turnovers. Drake May in 3 playoff games, his defense has 8 turnovers. And again, a lot of them aren't even things that the New England Patriots have been doing. How about this one for the Seattle Seahawks defense, just to show you and how strong the defense is, but then the defense can have a bad game and the offense can still beat you because Matthew Stafford lost twice to the Seahawks in the last 5 weeks in games where he had 370 plus passing yards, 3 plus passing touchdowns, and no interceptions. And they lost both of those games. Tom Brady only lost twice in 23 years with those same numbers. This Seattle team has a good defense, but they also have an offense. The Patriots offense in the playoffs, negative 0.171 EPA per play. The Jets offense in the regular season, negative 0.172 EPA per play. They're the same exact thing during the playoffs as the Jets have been throughout the regular season. And so instead of just playing this game with the regular spread, Eric, I decide that if I'm right about Seattle and I just think they're the much better team here, I'm going to play them adjusted because you look at Seattle's season throughout the year. They beat Pittsburgh 31-17. They beat the Saints 44-13. They beat Washington 38-14. Arizona 44-12. Minnesota 26-0. Atlanta 37-9. Carolina 27-10. San Francisco 13-3 and then 41-6. They've kicked the crap out of teams all year long. If they hit 10, I'm getting basically plus 200 plus 190 on this 2-1. Like if I just think that they're the team that wins by double digits based on every metric, everything, I would play them, and I'm going to play them and end up playing them to win by double digits.
Real quick, when you and I did our NFC West preview, our boy TC was in the comment section. I don't know if you remember this guy.
Yep.
He said Seattle 5-1 to win the West.
Yep.
Because
I remember the game I gave out
Yeah.
was week one. I liked Seattle against 49ers, but they lost that game, which is really funny because I thought they're going to be a little better than they think, and he was all over them.
And then he gave them out to come out of the NFC, and then he said to win the Super Bowl. He sent me a message this morning saying that he is going to be playing the adjusted 13.5 and the adjusted 9.5.
I love that. TC.
He is the Seattle Seahawks whisperer, and he is going to the game.
It generally happens, Eric, where like when you have a team like this, like the Patriots, and I want to say, like, I love Mike Vrabel as a coach. He's an awesome coach. He puts them in a position to win all the time. They had an easy schedule. They can only beat who's in front of him. Take advantage of that. Do what you have to do. But generally, when things go your way, especially the last few weeks through the playoffs where the balls really bounced their way a few times, there ends up being the one game where it just all kind of comes back to life. And I don't know if that's going to happen, but that usually happens throughout a season with a team where they'll have the 1 week after they have 4 or 5 lucky weeks where they get smacked in the face and they get beat by 30 points. And I'm hoping that happens here.
And like, you just play it in your ear, like play in your mind, like so much stuff is going to have to go right. It's going to have to be a masterclass from Vrabel. Yeah. For them to pull this off. So
you get something like a weird trick play early on, right? Some kind of a kick return, some kind of a big turnover that flips the game early and you get a little bit of a lead. And then you maybe put a little more pressure on Seattle. But yeah, I mean, on paper right now, it's just so tough because there's not, I really think there were probably 3 or 4 teams maybe in the NFC that might have been better than any one opponent that the Patriots have played all year long.
Yeah, it's just I've tried to play scenarios out in my head.
Me too.
I haven't played it, but I haven't played a side. I've done all props, but I just can't. I don't know. I just can't come up with an angle in my head where
you feel good about like handicapping something, right? Can they get lucky? Can something happen? Sure, but like we have to get there with the number and the team a lot of the time, right? Is there a mismatch for this team where they can get to the number? I love
34-7. That's what TC is calling right there.
What was the Denver game where they just kicked the crap out of Denver? What was the score in that one? That was right. Yeah,
I'm gonna put $5 on correct
for TC.
34-7 for TC.
Yeah, he's been good all year long. You got to just for
He's been out a heater.
Okay, what are you finishing up with?
My last bet, and look, this is a tradition. This is my favorite bet of all bets for the Super Bowl. Highest scoring half, the second half. The first half under, I gave it out on last week's, and you have to understand both these defenses have a full 2 weeks to study everything these offenses have done this season, past seasons, 3 seasons a year. They've had time to get their answers ready to what they're going to see on the field. The real adjustments happen in the second half when teams can make changes. The chess match begins. And the thing that everyone forgets about the Super Bowl, why is the Super Bowl different than any other game? We have these extended breaks with these extended halftimes. This is going to give Josh McDaniels, Clint Kubiak more times to dissect what needs to be done. If the defense is playing well, why are they going to make any adjustments? It's going to be the offense that makes adjustments, and it's going to change what is working. We've seen this happen historically over time. And why I like this bet better than the second half over is exactly what happened in what game was it? It was when your Rams played the Patriots a couple years ago. The score is like 3-0 at halftime.
Yep.
Then they scored 10 points in the second
13-3.
Yeah. So that's just something I'm always going to look to. You need to let them know what happened this weekend. Okay, so
let's hear it.
I'm going to let I didn't know if that was privileged information or not by my boy TC, but let me finish this and then I'll give TC a big shout out. The extended things, there's an historical strand, especially in both teams. In the second half, both teams are going to play with urgency. The season's on the line. We're going to see them play faster, see them take more chances. Even in last year's game, which was an epic blowout by the Eagles, we saw this happen. So I'm going to take more points scored second half than first half, correlated to the first half under given out last week. Now, TC, our boy TC entered a horse racing tournament, and he took the SOB down.
Awesome.
I'm not going to say how much. I don't know if he wants to be shared how much money was won, but he won an absorbent amount.
Nice. Hell yeah.
With that money, he is going out to San Francisco, and he is going to the game.
Wow. Congrats. Nice.
Say it, dude. He wants me to say it. I'm trying to find the message where he sent it.
Be there in person to see your team. That's awesome.
He won over 100K.
Whoa.
So,
nice.
Yeah. Props
Hell
to TC.
yeah.
Props to TC. You know
That's
what? I'm
awesome.
going to try to get him on the show. Maybe talk a little college.
Let me give you one more bonus one that I was going to give out, but it's a small one. Will there be a 2-point conversion attempt? Plus 135. You don't even need to get you don't even need to get it. But if somebody's down, one of the teams, like if the Patriots are down late, they get a score, they're trying to get extra points. Will there be a 2-point conversion attempt at plus 135? That's one that I'll just throw in there too. I like some of the wagers, especially in a game like this where, I mean, I think Seattle's better, but I like playing a lot of the props or ones where you can win the prop no matter what happens in the result of the game. Yeah. Right? Like, especially when you don't feel that strong about it. So 124K. Woo!
Props to him. He's going to be living large. Enjoy that game, my friend. Appreciate you coming in every single week to TC. I'll give out one more, kind of a fun one. I was looking at it. I laid out what I think New England's going to do. They're going to look to take away JSN. They're going to force other wide receivers. That's why I was high on AJ Barner. Jake the Snake Bobo over a half a reception is plus 190. Okay. He's only played 11 less snaps than Raheed Shaheed. He's got over this total in both playoff games. If this is going to be a blowout, which everyone is kind of thinking, you know, like I think we could see a Jake Bobo anytime reception at plus 190. And the thing you need to watch out for is, because I looked at it, him over half a yard is plus 160. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things that the books go,
love those.
Good point here. AJ over rushing yards.
Oh, yeah. The short. Yeah, that's
so
true. And they've been awesome at that too. They've been really good. One of the better teams.
I got two more. I'll just give them out. No, I'm going to save these for my podcast. These are going to be the ones I save for my podcast.
So
you guys got to check that out on Friday.
There you go.
You know, I appreciate you taking time out of your schedule.
Buddy.
Coming on, we talked a little NBA. We talked a little Super Bowl. We talked our boy TC taking down a tournament. Why don't you tell everyone where they can find you on social media and everything you have going on over at DRF, my friend?
Yeah, well, Daily Racing Form, working for them. I do the social media for them too. So if you follow them at Daily Racing Form on Twitter and on Instagram and on Facebook, and then you can follow me. It's me, Gino B, on Twitter. And if you're into horse racing, we have a lot of stuff every week on the YouTube channel previewing the big races. Erik was doing a lot of work for us this year, sending us best bets. So yeah, appreciate that. And yeah, we'll do some stuff for NBA maybe when it comes up to, and there'll definitely be times where we go through some of the things like we did on Wednesday. This year I had a little bit more of a like when NFL started, I was doing weekly podcasts for DRF2. I was doing like weekly live shows. Some of those things quieted down. So schedule changes a little bit, but we'll definitely have a lot more content with me and Erik through the years.
Appreciate you, man. Make sure to give that man a follow. Go over to DRF. Got it in the thing. Was it drf.com/sports betting? Have some great bonuses. You guys looking for some books? Check that out. We're going to be back next week with my boy Mad Max, and we're going to be shifting over to college basketball. Appreciate all you guys. Appreciate Gino. Good luck in your bets. And I guess let's go Hawks.
Good luck.